It's 7 AM, the sun is shining, the birds are chirping, perfect time to go to bed. But then, as you are about to fall asleep, it happens again. The brain suddenly starts working overtime. One thought, two thoughts, you cannot fall asleep. You've never been more awake in your life. Every single brain cell overclocked to 5 GHz. And then, it hits you. Was My Hero Academia ever good to begin with? Okay, maybe not exactly. In a lot of ways, My Hero Academia is objectively good. A better question would be, was it ever that good? You see, if you are a boomer weeb who was born before the year of 2016, you may have heard of the term the Big Three. The Big Three referring to the 3 biggest long-running shonen at the time: Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece. And with Bleach and Naruto ending around the same time, and One Piece being, well, One Piece, there suddenly was this gaping hole in everyone's heart that needed to be filled. In comes My Hero Academia to save the day. My Hero Academia was the first prominent shonen series to work with more traditional seasons instead of pumping out new episodes every week for 20 years straight. And it showed. My Hero Academia scheduling made for far better and consistent animation than something like Naruto could ever hope to accomplish. And that alone seemed to be enough for people to forget about the past. My Hero Academia now being the hottest thing on the block, worshipped like the second coming of Jesus Christ, and being the poster boy of the new Big Three. And while I did enjoy it, I always felt uneasy about it. It almost felt undeserved. And now, 5 years and 5 seasons later, I can confidently say that I fucking knew it. The 5th season of My Hero Academia is airing right now, and it's rated at an abysmal 7.5 out of 10, which is not that much higher than something like Sword Art Online or Akame ga Kill, which the entire anime community loved to hate. In fact, it's lower rated than Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail! You might scratch your head and think, 7.5? That's not even that low! I love watching hidden gems like Iromanga Sensei and Ore no Imo. The problem isn't that 7.5 is a particularly low score. The problem is that it's the 5th season that is rated 7.5. I've said this before and I will keep saying it, but scores on my anime list always tend to go up. And it makes sense when you think about it. Would you watch the 2nd season of a show you don't like? Maybe. Because you hate yourself and you have nothing better to do, but most people wouldn't. Repeat this process a couple of times and by the start of the 5th season, you are left with the hardcore Twitter stans, the absolute bootlickers, the people who would pay a fortune just to see a nipple. You are left with only fans. Wait, hold up. What I'm getting at is that it's not the haters that dislike this new season, but the fans. The kicker here is that this new season isn't even uncharacteristically bad. Sure, it's not good, but I'd say it's at least on par with the Provisional License arc of Season 3, or the School Festival arc of Season 4. Then why is this season so much worse? Well, my theory is that it's not. The show itself is fine. The problem doesn't lie with the show itself. The problem lies with you. Yeah, you. You are the problem. Once again, all of your problems can be traced back to you. Back in 2016, when My Hero started, it was by far the best shonen out there. It had, and still has, fantastic animation, and that was its biggest selling point. Now, 5 years later, and My Hero has gotten some serious competition in Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. And you don't have to agree with me on this, but personally, I think My Hero is the worst of the 3. The reason being that all 3 have fantastic animation, and all of them will deliver you the hype moments that shonen fans need regularly before they fall into cardiac arrest. But it's in the moments where nothing happens, where there aren't big fucking explosions everywhere, where My Hero falls behind. With the main issue for me being the characters. Permission to rant for a minute? Yes? Permission granted? Thank you. What the fuck are these outfits? The fuck am I looking at? Why? Why? This man is wearing a diaper. A diaper. Every single one of them looks like a clown. If I'm getting jumped by a bunch of thugs and this motherfucker Deku rolls up like this, you know what? You know what? Take my money. While you're at it, take my clothes too. In fact, just shoot me. Just fucking shoot me. Because I can't go on living with the shame! Even worse than that, why do they look fine in casual clothes? Uraraka even wears Jordan 4s in this official artwork, so the author obviously knows his stuff, unfortunately meaning that he deliberately made them look like ass. My disappointment is immeasurable, and the series has been ruined. Rant over. I'm not trying to say that every My Hero character is bad. My Hero Academia does have some interesting characters, like Todoroki, like Bakugo, or even Uraraka to a certain extent, but it also has a million characters nobody gives a flying fuck about. Like this guy, whose name I don't even know. What's his superpower? Flex tape? Or this other guy, whose superpower is that he has a tail? Or Minata, which, I mean, do I really have to spell it out for you? Most of these characters' main purpose for existing is existing. And they're not even good at that. They don't do anything, they have zero plot significance, and frankly speaking, they shouldn't have been born in the first place. Like, does anyone actually give a flying fuck about 90% of Class B? Seriously, most characters scale from flat out uninteresting to completely forgettable. No wonder they keep reminding you who is who every 5 seconds. I honestly have no clue why someone like Asui is so popular. Is it because she's a frog? Is that it? I mean, it has to be, because she hasn't done or said anything in the past 5 seasons. A character can only be as good as the series it's in. The most important thing is not the quality of the character itself, but the way it interacts with the characters around them. Mai from Bunny Girl Senpai is a very popular character, and most people would agree that she is very likable. Now, hypothetically speaking, take her out of her original series and throw her into something like Attack on Titan, and you can imagine that wouldn't go very well. Mai's popularity is very dependent on her own series, on Sakuta specifically. The thing that makes her likable is their interaction, their dialogue, the kind of dialogue that you can only have with someone like Sakuta. Shonen-wise, Jujutsu Kaisen does this way better than My Hero ever could. The chemistry between the main trio is almost unrivaled. They just bounce off each other very nicely. Now add characters like Gojo, Todo, or Useless Miwa, and you get some fantastic interactions to carry the show while it's slowing down, to the point that even with the countless Sakuga moments, the baseball episode still stands out as one of the highlights of the series. In every other series, the villains are in a warehouse, in a castle, or in a cave, holding a Skype call, but in Jujutsu Kaisen they are chilling on a beach, or playing board games, making them feel less like characters that exist solely to drive the plot forwards, and more like people. Demon Slayer does something special, where the dynamic of the group can make up for the flaws of the individual. You might think Tanjiro is boring, that Inosuke is too loud, or that Zenitsu makes you want to kill yourself, but when put together they influence each other in a way that changes their behavior. Zenitsu alone might be kind of a weirdo. Add Tanjiro and he will try to keep Zenitsu in check. Add Inosuke and now, suddenly, Zenitsu is the voice of reason. A little later, and it's Inosuke comforting and encouraging Tanjiro. The cast of Demon Slayer is incredibly dynamic and can change roles based on the situation without ever feeling unnatural or out of place. It's this kind of human interaction that I feel is lacking with My Hero Academia. Even in the latest episodes where the main 3 boys are together the entire time, they barely talk to each other, and when they do, it's predictable surface level stuff that feels more like its character archetypes talking instead of people conversing. Interaction is key, and that's why you should interact with the like button. Anyway, you could also point out the fact that the strongest quirk in the series gives you the power to punch very hard, and that All Might beats a genetically created punching bag by punching even harder. Or the fact that All For One has countless quirks and decides to use them to create a big arm so he can punch really hard. But these arguments have all been made before. All I wanted to point out is that maybe, just maybe, it's not that My Hero Academia got worse over time, but with the release of shows like Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer, your standard for what counts as good has risen. That maybe, just maybe, My Hero Academia was never that good to begin with. Just kidding, come on. She's a frog! A frog! Isn't that just so quirky?
Ba 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 bang, ba ba bang, doom ba, ba bee bee ba bee ba bam, ba la la boom, ba ba bee bee ba bee.